Sweet, sweet Caroline.
That was shared.
Oh, people are so funny.
Let's let me share.
I can spell episode. I promise I can spell episode.
All right. The hell? All right. I have
Chat up so I can see it.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to do, and then we'll hit the fucking jingle and we'll roll with this bitch.
Jingle, jingle.
Let's see.
Always takes a couple minutes. Give folks a chance to get in. All right, good enough.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 72 of the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. I am J007tv, joined as always by the homie Subone KD. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. We had a party at the house last night, so everything's a wreck. I'm exhausted. I think my kids didn't go to bed till like friggin' 1 o'clock in the morning, which means
Oh shit.
Everybody's having a good mood. Everybody's been in a good mood all morning. It's been fun. Yay.
At least you get an escape for a couple hours. Come in here and talk some video games with me. You know what I mean?
Right. So, yeah. But otherwise, hanging in there. Processing slightly slower than average today. But, it is what it is. How are you doing, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. Good. Just, I was in Houston this week, my first market trip down there. Had some really good meetings, found some new shit. So, for work, which will be good. And then I got back Thursday, and earlier in the week, I decided, I'm like, you know what? I have like 6 weeks of PTO, so I feel like having a 4-day weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. So I took off yesterday and Monday, and I ended up doing like a split stream yesterday. I streamed from like 11:30 to like close to 5. And then I took a little bit of a break, went and helped the wife get something. She's going to repurpose a dresser to make a enclosure for one of her ball pythons.
Okay.
Yep. So we went and picked that up, and then I fired stream back up, and just been kind of monitoring everything on the timeline. I didn't get to play the update for a couple days after season 2 went live. So Thursday night and Friday were the experience I have there.
First time. How'd it feel?
I mean, there were some issues, which we'll go into it. And then there were some things that I actually think were decent out of it. So
nice.
Yeah.
It's a good week. What did I do this week? I've been busy. So I put it on Twitter. I'm trying to rejigger my setup again, because why leave things alone when they're working? And so trying to get a new camera up and running. I have an older DSLR from Canon, which, I have thousands invested in this thing, and I don't use it. I haven't done photography in a couple of years because I don't have time to sit down and work on it. And I was, after that episode we did with Expel, I was, I like his camera. I like the look that he does when he does his full on face cam.
Yeah.
And so I've been working on replicating that, and it's a pain in the butt with Canon. So there's hoops you have to jump through, and there's a weird thing with cameras in Japan. Cameras and video cameras are taxed differently, and video cameras are taxed exorbitantly high. And so if you have a camera that can do video, that can double as a video camera, it gets taxed twice or something like that, or gets taxed at the higher rate. And so it's super weird. But to get around that, what Canon does is they set a limit on how long you can record video for, which is 29.29 seconds, because Japan defines 30 minutes or more as a video camera that needs to be taxed. So I set up this whole camera, and it can only run for 29 minutes at a time, which is fine if I want to record a 20-minute video, right? However, for this podcast, right, we go a little bit longer than that, and it would go through this whole power cycle thing, which is incredibly obnoxious in my opinion. But there's software that you can download, and so of course Canon makes that software at like $8 a month if you want it, and I don't want to pay $8 a month. And then there's another piece of software that has it much cheaper. And that thing is like temperamental, and it's, you know, janky is another way to put it. And so I'm trying to get that to work, and I can get it running. Like, you know, when we hopped on earlier, I had it running, but the output is not great. And so I can put a, what is it called? I can do this weird thing with dual outputs, and I can skirt around the watermark, and the aspect ratio is not right, and it's such a pain in the ass. I blame Japan.
Here
My
I am
struggles
rocking.
this week are Japan.
Here I am rocking just the Logitech C922 that I bought fucking in, I think, 2018. I'm still using the same camera. I mean, we talked about this this week about potentially wanting to upgrade my cam, and I think you're right. Like, at this point, I don't really need to do that, because it would be more beneficial to upgrade my PC and go to a one PC setup, which is it will happen this year. I'm fucking putting that out into existence. You know, it's gonna happen. But I've been having some technical issues too with this Rode. Specifically, there's something between it and Discord. I don't know why, but like, it has like completely cut my Discord out, like where I can't hear them, they can't hear me. Or when I go in, so now that's part of my pre-stream check that I go through and do to make sure it's working. It won't pick up the inputs for some reason. It's really weird.
Discord has a knack for hunting down audio devices and switching to them on its own.
Yeah. It tries to get my capture card. It tries to do that too.
Yeah. So that's a Discord's a pain in the ass with that. Yeah, maybe this week if I have time, I'll take a look at your system and see if I can figure it out, because mine doesn't do that quite as much. But yeah, that's weird. Discord.
Well, and the crazy thing is, like, we were having issues. You had issues about a month ago, or maybe a little more, with being disconnected while we're doing this podcast, and then I had those issues. And like I said during that episode that Lipe was laughing about when I called you while we were still recording, I didn't touch a goddamn thing. And I don't go in here and fuck with stuff. Like, I don't touch anything. I just leave it. And that's what's crazy to me is, like, I can turn my system off on a Monday night, right? I go on my work trip Tuesday, Wednesday night, come home Thursday, and shit's different. How?
Computers are... AI is taking over. That's how. It's the AI monsters doing their thing.
Yeah, that's just wild to me, man. I just don't understand it. But have you gotten to play any Black Ops 6 this week?
I did. This week I hit a couple milestones in Black Ops 6. I finished the grind, 33 out of 33 on Dark Ether. Dark Matter.
GG's.
So that's done. I will probably never touch hardcore again.
I wouldn't either.
And then, I'm going to throw this out. We can probably touch on this later, but I think the way that they've done weapons this year is kind of a miss. They haven't introduced anything that's like amazing, and they haven't provided a good reason to like grind everything. Like, it's not great. But
Warzone is my reason. That's really the only reason why I grind all those weapons.
Well, it's good to have them usually, but like this time around, it's like, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I did that, and then I hit Master Prestige.
GG's.
So finally up there with the big boys with the yellow numbers.
Nice.
Working my way towards level 100, my first level 100, so that I can change my little icon and be cool. I can be cool like that.
Such a dope.
Otherwise, yeah, just doing that. So it's been good to play. I haven't had a chance to run ranked. I'm hoping I'll run some today. Of course, crossplay off. I'll be running that from my Xbox.
Put a fucking asterisk next to whatever your rank ends up being.
Yes, the smart ones among us.
Yeah, I'm a little salty about that, and I don't quite know why, and I can't really I don't understand why I'm a little salty about.
Because your son has the magic box that will make it easier.
Right. Maybe it's because I don't get to do it. I don't know, but like, I'm not gonna go out and buy another fucking console to be able to do that. So
well, good luck. A lot of them are sold out.
Yeah. Well, of course. But yeah. So I've been playing a bit of Black Ops 6. I mean, again, we talk about this all the time. I enjoy multiplayer, and I try to play it a couple hours a day most days. And I finally, and I don't know why this gun took me so fucking long to get gold, but the SOG, I got it gold. So what that means is now I can start working on diamond for my SMGs. I got the C9 diamond like immediately. That didn't take me long at all. And now I'm working on the KSV. But one of the things I'm noticing in Black Ops is just like the inconsistency between some of the guns, like for some of the guns, not necessarily between them. And what I mean by that is, and this is something that Caffrey brought up on one of his videos too, is it seems like there's in-match inconsistency, right? Like with that KSV or the SOG, actually, while I was running that, I would fucking fry people with it. And then in the same match, it would feel like it's shooting marshmallows. And I could tell when it started happening. It was weird.
I think the game has a lot of turnover. Most games have a lot of turnover in them. I've noticed. I mean, I noticed that extensively because same thing. Like I would be rolling on a lobby, and all of a sudden it's like I can't get a kill to save my life, and it's like, what happened? Well, I look, and half the team is different. And I think a lot of times the players will drop, they'll dip out, and then they hop back in, and it's like and then you get into the matchmaking bullshit because when they're filling, right, they're gonna fill usually better players that are struggling to find a match. So it's like all of a sudden it'll go from like, an even lobby, or maybe you get into half, a lobby that's half burgers, and the burgers all leave, and all of a sudden it's replaced by a couple of demons, and you're like, and I'm just like, the fuck happened?
Well, so I'm talking inconsistency, maybe that might be part of it, but I'm talking from bullet to bullet, meaning like I'll hit somebody with shots and delete them, but then later I'll hit the same kind of shots and it's fucking barely registering and it's not a kill, and I don't understand it.
You probably have a lot of the same. I mean, so
maybe like
people adding into a lobby can probably, it's probably messing with the latency too.
Yeah, maybe it is a latency thing and not actually a weapon thing per se.
It shouldn't be. The weapons don't change.
Yeah.
But latency, look, and I'll say this, and we know it's true because we've seen it in testing, is that there are just like, there's a lot of ghost bullets in this game. And, the desync, there's desync, there's, netcode issues, whatever that means to you. There's just all kinds of things that don't work right, that don't go well. Having a day. All kinds of things that don't work right in terms of just the efficiency of the game. And a huge problem that comes from that or results in that is, ghost bullets, right? And in my infinite idiotic wisdom, I saved the SVD for last. If you ever get a chance to save that for last in your camo grind, don't do that because you will just end it pissed off as all hell because it sucks. But I would literally like center mass at like 10 feet from somebody, put a shot right in there, and it would just vanish. It would, crosshairs are on. Like there's, the damn body's filling up a third of the screen. He's so close to me. And I'm pointing right at him, and I pull the trigger, and the bullet, it disappears into space. And then I get smoked. And of course, I would have like 4 out of 5 kills needed at that point. That's usually when it happens. Patents, I'm sure. There's a patent for that, I'm sure. But no, it's just connection issues are just you know, the servers and the connections and all the shit that goes into it that we've talked about for weeks now are just brings that up and makes it really hard to sit back and love the game. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a good game and I enjoy it. And I obviously have like, what did I post? Like 5.5 days in it, not to mention everything in Warzone and whatever else. But like, you know, you get these things, you know, it's like the difference between 2019 and this game. Like 2019 didn't have this shit. Like, you know, it had its problems. It had lots of stuff that wasn't great. It didn't work 100%, but like they didn't have this kind of stuff. And I think a lot of it comes down to like the servers that, you know, the decisions they've made with servers, the decisions they've made with how they're going to process netcode and all this shit. Like it's they've made changes and a lot of them are not working.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm having a pretty good time mostly running the multiplayer, but yeah, there are definitely those issues that you're talking about. Like, but the one thing I will say is this is I don't really have a lot of like disconnect type issues for the multiplayer side of it. Like that to me since launch has been the most stable part of it. Now I get it might not be that way for everyone, so I'm not trying to sit here and act like it doesn't happen, but it's more stable for me. And I mean, y'all know when I play, I stream it over on Twitch. So if you don't believe me, you can go check out the VOD or whatever. Like it's fairly stable. I've had a few small issues, and we're going to talk about a couple of those a little bit later. But the other thing with the and I guess that kind of goes into Black Ops and Warzone, but I did hit level 200 Master Prestige.
Look at you,
yeah,
fancy pants.
Yeah, and I'm obviously grinding the battle pass and everything. Yep. So. Did you get Black Cell?
I did.
I did too.
I feel like they've actually got some decent shit this time around that I might use, but yeah, I mean, let's be honest, it's a write-off at this point.
Yeah, you know, it's fucking tax season, or it's about to be.
Don't remind me. But yeah, it's the game has been doing well. Black Cell is what it is. It's not the best right now. But I feel like the first year of Black Cell was phenomenal, and this year's been kind of like, as with everything in this year, it's just been kind of like a letdown after launch.
I think it also is the maybe the tone of the game. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but like not just the Black Cell, but look at just like the offerings in the store. There's some wild shit in there, dude. Like
they went full send from day one. They didn't even give us like the season of military shit and before they let the waifus in.
Yeah. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, they were full send on that, which is wild.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not gonna buy the fucking unicorn skin. You know, nothing wild like that.
I killed one of those the other day in Warzone, and then they came back for me, and I killed them again, and it was some kid whining and screaming, and it was hilarious. I was dying laughing. And of course, awesome. I think they just turned my Bronx chat off, or it's broken or something because nobody can hear me. But I couldn't even say anything to him, so I teabagged him and let him bleed out.
Oh, you got to drop bags. I mean, dude, I teabag all week long whenever I can if I remember to. But specifically, I have a day for that, and it's called Teabag Tuesday. You know, some people fucking celebrate Taco Tuesday. For me, it's fucking Teabag Tuesday. I'm dropping bags on you. You know.
Yep.
So yeah, but I mean, overall, the games were fairly decent. I mean, again, the biggest struggle I'm having with Black Ops 6 is just the losses. You know, they just keep fucking piling up, and it doesn't seem to really matter how well I'm doing. It's not enough, I guess. So,
well, it's a team game, and it's like, you know, we have for better or for worse, we have an entire generation that focuses on just, you know, they want to play TDM and they don't want to actually click on TDM.
Yeah.
Or they're camo grinding. You know?
Yeah, and it was so funny because I was playing with my kid earlier in the week. I think it might have been Monday. It was Thursday. No, it was Thursday when I got back. I was playing we were playing Kill Confirmed or something, and he had like 3 tags, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, we lost by like 8. You had like 20 something kills and only 3 fucking tags, or 8 tags, something like that. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You know, and then I got Hoops over there grinding fucking guns and camos and shit. So he's not getting tags. And I'm just like, I mean, I'm like sweating my ass off in that situation just to kind of go a little over even, or even break even, if you will, while also trying to collect a good amount of tags. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest frustration I have with the multiplayer side of it, is just, you know, how a lot of those matches are playing out. But did you play any? Have you? So I know we talked before, and you were having some issues being able to even play actual Warzone. Have you played any Warzone this week?
I have not. I have played. I was grinding, and then I've been slammed this week. So I've got house projects, school started back up. I've got work. So I have I got into like a new project at work, which is kind of fun, except my project sucks. But I basically have to, I'm getting paid to play video games right now. And so it's a really cool system, doing AI training on playing games. My game sucks, so I'll probably be streaming that so everyone else can see how miserable it is. It's called Bannerlord Blade and something.
Blade and
Mountain Blade 2.
Mountain Blade or something. I don't know.
Yeah, some shit.
You said it last week, so that's why I remember it.
It's rough. It's a rough game to play. It's not my style. I'm trying to wrap my head around the whole point, which I think is to build a kingdom out. So you start out with like you and your buddy, and then you hang out in a village, and it's like it's got RPG elements, but it's also like a realistic hack and slash with command and conquer, like real-time strategy elements built in. So like you have to command an army eventually, and so it's like you can eventually have like hundreds of soldiers, and you have to tell them what to do and order them around, and like they'll fight the battle, but then you like ride in and fight too. And then there's trading, and there's like quests, and like it's everything, and the combat is just terrible. It's really difficult to get good at, and it's not because it's not designed to be difficult. It's just the mechanics of like making shit work is hyper realistic, attempting with terrible hitboxes.
Well, is the game in alpha or beta form, or is it full on?
It came out in 2020. It is final.
Why the fuck are you testing something for it now with AI?
I'm limited on what I can tell you. What they're doing.
Never mind.
But you know, it's a thing. But it's been, you know, with any new thing, it's been a challenge to get the project off the ground. It's just been bugs and problems all week. So it's been limiting my actual game time.
Sure. I
Cutting
mean,
into that, unfortunately.
If you're having to do that for hours, I can't imagine you'd want to like hop on and play anything afterwards.
Oh, I do. I just, I get done and then I'm like tired because I'm old. And it happens. But my favorite thing. So I did hop in and like check stuff out and see what works. I think it's working because I poked around a little bit. And so, I didn't really play much, but I do think it is working. So I'm going to try and run some this week and see if I can get it up and running. What I did really enjoy was the cinematic. Did you watch the cinematic?
Yeah, I think so. I can't fucking remember, dude. This week's been
the
kind of
cinematic is about them saving Avalon.
Oh yeah, where they're like
literally
having the meeting and stuff. Yeah,
they finally give us back like a story. Like we have not had a story since like the middle of Caldera. It's just been like go and do, right? And now they're like they crafted a story again, and it's on the wrong map.
I mean, shit,
Fuck,
dude.
Guys, come on.
I get it, but they've got bigger problems that they've got to get squared away. So,
Oh, I know, but like it just goes to show how much this decision really messed this game up. Like, I think since I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say this. Since Warzone dropped in 2020, there has only been one game that actually followed their mission plan, that actually did what they designed it to do. One game, Black Ops Cold War, right? They yanked Blackout 2 and integrated and decided to integrate into Warzone, and that was a disaster. Broke the game, and everything was just, that was a very, very tough integration. It was good later, but when it integrated, it was terrible. It did not go well.
they had such a hard time, like, just balancing and addressing the weapons. Like, that was like the biggest issue because when shit was broken,
all the bugs that they had all the bugs that came back. They had all the problems that came back. Like, it was just a whole lot of problems. Like, it was just like 2 months of the game was just functionally not great, right? Reminiscent to now. So maybe Treyarch just doesn't play nice with Infinity Ward's toys. But then we had the saga of Vanguard, where Vanguard was kind of like thrown together in and of itself. But, and this is the thing that just gets me, is they were very clearly trying to move Warzone onto Vanguard. They were clearly trying to do that. And if you we haven't talked about it in a while, but they initially had a lot of leaks and rumors and statements that they were bringing like FOV slider over, and they were trying to do a bunch of that stuff, and they would speed up the speed of the game and do all this stuff. And then at some point they decided it wasn't going to work, probably because they committed to making Warzone 2 and just changing everything. And they yanked it, and then they just did another integration, and that was a failure.
Well,
right?
Old gen consoles probably limited some of what they could do too. Like they were still on the regular,
no more
Xbox
so than Cold
ones.
War. But I think they ran into the problem of they changed like their course, like they changed what they were planning to do, and that was a disaster. And then Warzone 2 Call of Duty 2, Warzone 2 started over, and then Modern Warfare 3. They actually executed their plan. They had a plan. They drew it up. They executed it. It integrated nearly flawlessly. It was a nearly flawless launch of Warzone. And it was one of those things that created so much like, oh, they finally figured it out. Like, it's finally working. And I think I said this on this podcast a year ago. Like, they finally solved the problem. Right? And then we get Black Ops 6, which multiplayer. Fantastic, right? It launched. It was a huge success by every metric. It was a huge success, except for 3-lane maps. It was a huge success. And then they integrated Warzone, and they changed the map and fucked everything up. And it's been and now they're an entire season will be wasted trying to put the pieces back together. And now we have these, they finally came up with a story for why we were in Avalon and what was going on in Avalon, a la, Modern Warfare 2019. And now the story doesn't match the map we're playing on. What the hell?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, I feel you on that. But I mean, again, it's like we said last week, nothing pisses me off more than having content pushed in my face if the game is broken. So if they can just work on the shit they said they were going to work on, which we're going to talk about season 2 or whatever. But yeah, so I've been playing a decent amount of Warzone this last week too. It's been okay. I've experienced some bugs, and like I said, we'll talk about some of those. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's not fucking rainbows and butterflies either. So there's some decent shit they did, and there's some stuff that's not good at all. So anyway,
Shocking.
yeah. But what overall, what do you think of the season? Like just the season itself, season 2 so far.
I mean, it's from the Warzone standpoint, it's a necessary evil. I think it's good they're doing it this way. I think that they need to clean house and they need to just get in there and fix all the stupid they did and all the shit that didn't work. I think not having, any material changes to the map, not having any meaningful adjustments to the game outside of fixing things. It's mixed bag, right? It's needed, but it's also like, why are we back here? Right? Like, and it's evidence of a systemic problem from the top down, right? Like this is, and I've made a couple of videos over the last few weeks talking about the servers. There was that report that came out, and I've had talks with a couple of different developers that I talked to, and they were all kind of like, yeah, it's a mess, like, confirming a lot of the, without saying so, confirming a lot of what was talked about in that article. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's just that they have to make systemic changes and institutional changes from the top down, right? We can't keep doing this where everybody just kind of does their own thing. And, their blog post said as much. They said it in the bottom of the roadmap. What did they? Is it the roadmap they said it in? Or no, the patch notes. They put it in the patch notes, where I want to get it right what they said, because it's important. It is important what they said. They don't make it easy to find. They make it easy to buy the game, but find what they said. But like, all right, patch notes and all the way at the bottom, and they said, maybe it wasn't the patch notes. I don't know. Whatever. They basically said that they're basically having to make changes, like they admitted as much that their systems are not good, and that they want to make the systems work better and the studios work together and work closer together. And they're using this time to put all the studios on the same development platform, is what they alluded to. Which, if they do, that's great. We need that. That's overdue for a game of this size and scale. And so I'm looking forward to them following through on that, if that's their process, if that's what they're doing. But it's, again, we're sitting here waiting for that to happen, right? And so it's kind of like, it's kind of a placeholder season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wasn't overwhelmed or underwhelmed by anything so far. Other than I think we forgot to get into this, but I did set a new PR yesterday.
Oh, tell us about your PR. How many kills was it?
Oh, it wasn't kills. It wasn't kills.
Oh, it was somebody's kills. But they weren't yours.
Yeah, no shit. So, my own personal amount of deaths in fucking BR of any since Warzone started is now 8. And I will tell you that the last 3, I had a total of maybe 5 seconds with my feet actually on the fucking ground.
Buybacks.
It was towards the end, yes. And that was the first of the last 3. I was like, fuck it, we're last circle. I got to try to get my loadout, man. Like, I'm not going to hang here because I'm not going to get shot. I'm not going to land and go in a building where I know people are. Loadout's out here. I'm going to go try to grab that. And what happens? Somebody fucking mounts up in a window camping those loadouts and just beam the shit out of me. So, okay, I let it go, whatever. Because I legit have taken a different approach on the buybacks and stuff like that. Like, just this season, I think that's why I've had a better time playing, because I'm not letting that fucking piss me off too much. So then, and keep in mind, we had been running contracts all fucking game. So like, dude, we had racks on racks for cash, like $50,000. So I could have been bought back fucking however many times 3 goes into that. But anyway, so money buys me back. And as I'm dropping in the air, I'm beamed out of the sky, like almost immediately beamed out of the sky. So then he instantly buys me back again. And this time I fucking just like, I'm trying to just get to the building that they're at. And before I can even hit the ground to run through the door, somebody shoots me in the back from those long green apartments over there. Dude, I cannot even describe how fucking irritated I was. And like I said, I've really been working on not being so pissed off about that stuff. And, you know, and Money, he's like, oh, dude, my bad. I'm like, dude, don't fucking apologize to me for that. Let me vent, you know, but it's not towards you. I'm irritated because that's even fucking possible in the game. And that's on top of 2 or 3 matches earlier, or maybe it was earlier in the day, getting fucking jailbroke at the last circle out in the middle of goddamn nowhere with no cover, no nothing.
I thought they got rid of that.
I don't think so, man.
Well,
if it wasn't the last
obviously
circle,
they didn't. Obviously, they didn't because it happened to you. So
yeah, it was either the last circle or it was a very small one, is what I can tell you. Where with not a lot of places to go. But I mean, again, dude, it was one night.
The buybacks are the buybacks, and that has been in the game since Warzone 1. So I don't really have a huge problem with that. But it does suck. Like, I will say that it sucks because you get bought back, you know, trying to drop in, and you're just getting pelted because, you know, and a lot of it is this map, right? This map has so many rooftops and so many places where, you know, little buildings where a team can hold up, and you can have a high density, you know, I feel like there's a much higher density of teams left alive towards the end in this map versus previous maps. Yeah. And like, at least with El Mazrah, the POIs were like, there weren't as many end circle POIs where there were like 5 or 6 buildings that could house an entire team or 2. And they would routinely be there like late game.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, this map, the way that it's just constructed, really does a bad job of enabling late game actions because of the way it is. It's unfortunate, but you know, buybacks are buybacks. At least it's not gulag tokens and all that shit that you know you had before. So at least you have to have the cash.
Well, yeah,
and you have to make a play at a buy station. So I'll say this: as far as buybacks go, I'll always appreciate when late game and buybacks happen at a buy station, because you have to make a play to it. You have to deal with the fact that it might be camped or booby trapped, right? Spring mines on the buy station. My personal favorite. And so, you know, there's skill involved in actually even getting to that point. It's just unfortunate that the map doesn't support, you know, safely getting to your teammate.
Well, and I finished the match 4 and 8. But 3 of those deaths happened inside of 15 seconds. You know, like it was that fucking fast. And it might be a little bit longer than that, more spread out, but it was a short amount of time. It was just fucking one after the other. And I don't mind dying if I'm losing gunfights or like if I'm pushing, you know, like being aggressive, that kind of shit. Like, fine. I don't like giving people
trying to get on the ground.
Yeah, I don't like giving people free kills. Is I guess what it really amounts to. Because I think that's fucking cheese, which is also why I didn't like the timing on when they were doing the jailbreak. But anyway, I mean, aside from that, that was really the only real issue, that I had yesterday playing. It was as far as the actual gameplay itself. But, you know, when we get into the update part of it, which I'm assuming we're pretty much, we're there. I was disconnected in blackout, like where my whole system shut the fuck down twice. Yep. It actually happened once in Warzone 2, but I don't think it was at a crucial moment where it would literally shut my whole gaming PC down. And then we also dealt with, as KC mentioned in the chat, where we couldn't join, but it was temporary though. So keep in mind, I got back on Thursday. So, they had a couple days to kind of work on that. So it wasn't as bad because we were at least able to eventually squad up and get into matches and stuff like that. So that wasn't a big deal. But the shutting my system shit down, that's fucking wild to me. And but it's not blue screen either. It's completely, it goes black.
Yeah, I understand that there's an issue with Ricochet interfering with something and fucking things up. So, good job on them for that.
I mean, hey, listen, it sucks right now while it's happening, but it'll be fixed. There's no doubt in my mind that it'll be fixed. They'll figure out what happened and how to fix it, and it will be patched. I would think that'll stop being an issue probably within the next 4 days at least. If I had to guess, I'm not a software engineer or anything like that, but it's just kind of my feeling based on the way they've done things before. So that'll be fixed. But they also, they did some weapon balancing too in this patch, some significant weapon balancing as well.
Yeah. So they did some balancing. I think I want to talk real quick. I want to delve into this blue screen issue.
Sure.
So if you're playing on Xbox and you don't, or PlayStation, you're not aware of it. The Ricochet kernel level driver is not, for some people, is not working right, and so it actually is sending their computers into a blue screen crash, which is hilarious because that's not what a kernel level driver should do. But they definitely it's one of those things of it is still, how do I put it? There's pushback in certain circles that we need to not, we shouldn't have a kernel level driver because then crashes like this would absolutely tear up, would brick your PC because it tries to boot the kernel first. Unfortunately, I will reiterate that the always on driver needs to be there. Even despite that this happens, we can't have, we just can't have the game be, except, we can't have the driver turn off because it will never solve the cheating problem. So it's and unfortunately PC players just have proven, they can't be trusted as a PC player, and you're a PC player. We just, our entire master race just can't be, there's enough of us that can't be trusted that we have to deal with this. It would be nice not to have an anti-cheat, but the reality is we need one, and we need a very invasive one, because otherwise PC players, the PC cheating issue will ruin the game. It will, it almost ruined Warzone 1, and it will ruin Warzone 2 or 3 or whatever we're on. Yeah. Because it will make the game unplayable.
Well, I mean,
I think the new update took Phantom Overlay 15 minutes, they said, to patch it, to figure it out. And the answer is because they can get around it. And there's no way to be, there's no way to deal with it. There's no way to stop it. And they're showing, and cheaters are showing up everywhere. And it's it's just crazy that we are in 2025 and there's a level of trust that's this high. And, to be honest, and I've said this before, I don't even think Activision should be creating an anti-cheat. I think Microsoft needs to do it. Microsoft needs to take the wheel here, and they need to create a gaming instance of Windows.
Yeah.
Where it boots in, it locks everything out. If it isn't triple signed and secured, and on the whitelist of programs and hardware, then it doesn't work. You don't get to boot in. You don't get to load the game. You don't get to play online. If you want to play single player games, be my guest. You want to play campaign by yourself, be my guest. You want to play multiplayer games, then you need to be in game mode, and it locks it down as hard as an Xbox or a PlayStation. Right? You have one pixel out of place in your hard drive, and the game just doesn't boot. It just fails and goes back to normal, and you don't get to play till you fix your shit. I think that's the solution at the end of the day. And and really this is going to get pointed to Microsoft. you have to get on top of it.
Well, and they tried to like have a temporary fix. Well, I think it's temporary. I fucking hope it is. Where you know, consoles have the ability to turn off for ranked. I mean, if that's temporary, okay, but that shouldn't be the main thrust of their efforts. Like, the effort should be to fucking fix the anti-cheat. And you know, I will agree, there's more cheaters in ranked mode. There are. Like, we saw more. And you know, we've talked about this several times. I don't just throw cheating out like like a lot of people do. I just don't do that. I play devil's advocate a lot and things like that. But yeah, like, if that shouldn't be the main thrust of whatever their efforts are. And hopefully, if they can get the anti-cheat in a good spot, they'll make it where we're all playing ranked together. Because I agree with Jigsy, if they're gonna have console only ranked, it needs to have a fucking asterisk next to it, because it's not the same. We're not playing the same game. Period. PC ranked is going to be harder than console ranked, no matter what. And it'll be level by level. Silvers, bronze, gold, platinum, diamond. It's just going to be harder.
Yeah. And it's going to be one of those things where there's no there's not going to be a good reason to play PC ranked, because it's you know, and here's the thing, when you cut down the population of people willing to play on it, play PC ranked, the ratio of cheaters to legit players is going to go through the roof as people turn it off, right? So you're actually going to get a PC experience that is probably the worst possible experience.
Oh, we're gonna run ranked on Monday. I already talked about it with Money and King, and so I'll be able to report on the next episode, fucking how that's gonna go. You know, and by the way, so I did finish season 1 in Plat. Got into Plat Saturday. Jigsy came in, and dude, we fucking balled out, dude. It was pretty awesome. Like, we didn't have a single negative match. It was done in 2 hours, and I immediately went to pubs. And that's another thing that I like that they actually did. So remember, they'd set you back like a full level. Like, so if you finished at gold 3, you would go back to the
beginning of the one before. Yeah. So if you were plat 3, you would go back to diamond 1.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So now I start the season in platinum. So getting into diamond wasn't going to be, you know, as long as I played it on a more regular basis. But again, my ranked grind came to a fucking halt last season when we were dealing with the battle ready shit. So I didn't get as high up in there as I wanted to, but I think diamond's going to be probably a realistic ceiling for me. I don't know if it gets wild and I have, you know, a good half season and get far enough into diamond, I might push and try to make a push for Creme, which I think would be very fucking difficult, but I don't think getting to diamond's going to be that hard.
Yeah. I mean, it should be doable, but you know, we're going to have to see how things go over the next couple of weeks. You might be borrowing your son's Xbox.
No.
Playing in his room.
Hell no, dude. I smell like fucking gym socks and dirty laundry. I'm good. He's a teenager. It is what it is. But no, so we'll be doing that Monday. But so a few of the good things that they did, and they had to do this last year with Urzic Stand too, because their initial layout of like how they had the buy stations throughout the map last year was dog shit. And it was kind of dog shit this year. Until
they took the same layout from last year and they just put it in. So it was as dog shit as it was last year because it was the same.
Yeah. And so, so they basically, with this update, they changed the buy stations around. And I got to tell you, I like that change. I feel like it's made the game feel different to me because it's changed rotations. So it feels a little bit more fresh to me because you're not rotating the same way every time anymore. So
well, and I've been frustrated. It's been annoying because when I do hop in, it's like in my head I remember where buy stations are last year, like the bulk of last year, and then they're not there now. So it's like I keep moving to certain places. I'm like, there's no buy station here. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I forgot a couple times like where they were. You know, but yeah, I think that the buy station thing is a good change. I hope they continue to freshen that up. They did change up the ground loot As noted in the update and the patch notes, they removed basically the dumb shit off the ground, like the burst weapons and the semi-auto guns or whatever. Like those are gone.
Yeah, that's my limited experience this season. It's been better.
Yeah, it's good ground loot.
I will say some of the builds aren't my favorite that I've come across. Like there's one of the ground loot AK, the base. There's a ground loot AK build that's not great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few others that are just like, I liked them better last season, but not picking up a SWAT 5.56, thinking I'm picking up an L or an Ames or something, and going, let me go back and get my pistol because it's better than this piece of crap.
Yeah.
Is a welcome addition. And I think it's interesting because there's a couple of good pistols on the ground that I've picked one up. It's like you pick one up early and it's better than your base pistol.
Yeah.
And some of those pistols hit, if you can hit headshots, they can kill very quickly. They can be very effective if you're accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some advantage to that. So, it's kind of like if you're offered, 4 snipers and a higher end pistol, it's like it's almost better to pick up a higher end pistol.
Dude, so I picked up a gold frost line yesterday, and I fucking 2-shot a dude out of a helicopter.
Nice.
Yeah, he flew a little too close to the sun, my guy. Fucking yeah, we got the clip. I'm gonna post it a little bit later, but yeah. So the ground loot's actually pretty good. So like the buy stations, like the ground loot. Need to fix some of the connection things. That AR, what the fuck is the name of that AR? I don't have the roadmap, and I don't even have it unlocked.
Piece of crapo.
No.
The new AR, the new one.
It is not a piece of crap, sir.
Okay.
And so first of all, you get one with a very good optic, like a magnified red dot. On there in the gulag. That gun's actually pretty solid, but Jigsy had money build one to run while we were running pubs yesterday, and dude, I was watching him. He was fucking frying people with it. It was really good. Now I don't know how much of that's the player and how much the gun, but yeah, the way they built it, it was killing fairly quick. I mean, I'm not a numbers nerd. I don't know the fucking TTK milliseconds or none of that, but it just, from what I observed, it looked like he was killing a decent amount with it.
The Cypher 091.
Yes, Cypher. That's right. So it was pretty decent. And, given that it's in the ground loot and in the gulag, I'm already ranking that shit up a little bit.
The problem with that is it falls off fast.
Oh, at range.
Like
really the long
bad.
Range side of it. Yeah.
Like you get like 40 meters and it's bad.
Yeah. But
and so it's just another one of those inconsistent guns.
What are your thoughts? Have you run the Fang at all, like that LMG?
No, I haven't unlocked it or come across it yet.
That's all over the ground loot in Warzone 2. I haven't even begun to work on grinding that, like just to max it out over in Black Ops, just because also too, like I said, I'm trying to get my SMGs diamond, so that's kind of been my focus. And I'm maxing out the SVD. And let me say this about that SVD. The way that gun is right now, even though it's not perfect or that great, it's still better than any fucking Dragunov or Dragunov variant we have had in Call of Duty that I can remember in the last 5 years. It's
still not great.
It's better than those, but it's not the best. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But the Fang on the ground loot, though, it's okay. I think I used it once, so I don't want to really pass judgment on it too much at this point. So I'll have a better feel for it probably by middle of this week.
Yeah, it's interesting. Speaking of SMGs, though, I have enjoyed the PPSH.
Well, that's been good pretty much the whole time. Oh no, the PPSH. I was thinking of the PP919. That's okay.
It's fun. It's different.
There's some good variants too.
It has a good feel to it.
Yeah.
I've been running it in multi a bit, and have been enjoying it there. And running it in what's it called? picked it up a couple of times in Warzone and it just has a good feel. It's just fun. And I enjoy it now, and I'm going to point out that I enjoyed the PPSH when it was previewed in Black Ops Cold War. They had a really cool blueprint if you pre-ordered Vanguard, where like the blueprint changed over time. So like it got more and more awesome the closer you got to launch. I don't know if you remember that.
Okay.
But that was fun. So it's pretty good. It got a buff yesterday, Friday, which is great because it needed it a little bit to compete. I don't think it's overkill. I still have the C9 as like kind of my main go-to.
That's what I'm running actually now. After the adjustments, as my SMG, as I'm running the C9.
But inside of like 20 meters, it's still, I think it's after the buff, it's now, it's top tier, but it falls off fast. Like it is not a gun you take for sniper support. I'll put it that way.
No, I've been running for that. Like I told you before, I'd been running the 60 round reinforced barrel XM4 with a Merlin mini sight on it for that. But I changed to the aims once they nerfed the XM4 a little bit. And actually, I don't even know so much that it's XM4 nerf as it is the buffer weight stock.
It is. They gave a little nerf to the XM4's damage on Friday, but they hammered the buffer weight. That thing has gotten. Yeah. The thing is not it's not the wheelhouse it used to be.
Well, and it was funny because I was playing with Chaos, and he's on mouse and key, and it was Thursday, and I was like, yeah, I can actually tell a difference in just the recoil or whatever. And he's like, I don't tell any difference. I'm like, you're on fucking mouse and key, bro. Like, of course you don't. I said, trust me, I can feel the nerf on this. And at the time, it was still really good. Now, they came back yesterday, which was surprising to me because they said it was going to be next week. They came back and nerfed that shit again.
Well, I think it's one of those things they had a lot of fixes that were ready to go that were kind of important.
Yeah.
And so I think it was like, throw it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well.
Yeah. No, it was but good. So it's nice. There's a new sheriff in town, or a few candidates to be sheriffs, if you will.
Hopefully.
For the meta.
They stay and they don't get run out with the internal posse.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I've mostly run the aims. I haven't gone back to the AK yet. And I'm gonna use the Model L tonight. Because it looks like, based on what I'm seeing, that from Alex, that is the absolute long range meta AR.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think we're getting into the era in which, similar to how we were in Cold War, where the AK is viable, is very, very good if you can control it. There's some easier to use options that might, for most people, be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But the AK is definitely going to be, if they stay with this course, the AK should remain like a great choice. But, again, as we've discussed, higher damage, more difficult to control. So, more of a challenging weapon to use, which I think it should be. We need options like that are difficult to use, but rewarding when you master them. But going back to sniper support, I want to point out one thing that's interesting. The XM4 versus the AS Val. Have you run the AS Val much?
I've picked it up in from ground loot. It's all right.
It deletes mid-range. It deletes. So unlike last year. So last year we had this scenario where it was like you had a lot of SMGs that were phenomenal out to like 30, 35 meters that like would compete with ARs. And then you had the ARs weren't really the best at anything, right? They were like none of them were great up close. And then they were all terrible at farther ranges.
Mm-hmm.
And, so they kind of like lived in that, they kind of lived in that 20 to 40 meter range is like where they excelled, I guess, where they were the kind of the king, which is kind of that it's almost a no man's land range. That's like sniper support range, right?
Right.
And then, long range, you either had to use an LMG or you went to a sniper.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just that was the options available to you. There was nothing else good, right? Now a lot of the ARs, they shine at range and they've got good mobility. So it's like you're picking them up over like the XMG or some of these other LMGs because those things are just slow. They're really slow and they're not ideal for moving rapidly with. Versus like the XM4, which was great because you could run and gun with that thing. You could fight inside a building and you could fight at range, which is one of the and you could avoid missing shots in most scenarios. And I think that's one of those things why it was so popular, right? The sniper support question really you shouldn't be using your sniper support beyond like 40-45 meters. Like that's just not. At that point, you should be running an AR and an SMG, right? You really need it to be mobile enough that you can keep up with SMG's movement in closer ranges, and then and still kind of reach out and cover that range. And beyond like 40 meters, you should be running your sniper. Like you should be, you have that for a reason. You should either be not taking the fight or you should be hitting those shots. And so, you kind of need something to excel. I usually like to say like 15 to 40 meters should be your sniper support. And you should take a look at the AS Val for that because that thing rips.
Yeah, I might take a look at it. And the one thing I want to say about the XM4 too, I don't want them to brick that shit. Like I want it to still be decent. It just doesn't need to be OP like it was for the last month and a half, what it felt like.
Yeah.
So like at least leave it viable because again, we always talk about this. Variety is when it's more fun when, in Warzone, when you have a variety of weapons you can choose from,
Yep.
and not just 2 or 3 that you have to run. I mean, and I get that as long as we have loadouts, we're always going to have some sort of meta. Like the meta stuff is never going to go away. I've made peace with it. If you haven't, I suggest you do because it is what it is, right? Like it
is what it is.
That's just going to always be a thing. But like, I just have always liked it and had more fun when you just have more shit to choose from.
Yeah. No, I think it's best when there's a lot of options, right?
Yeah.
And the XM4 I think is still usable. It's still viable. It's not dead.
No, I got killed by it a few times last night.
And so I think that this should put the meta in a more balanced position because the 100 rounds is really what made the XM4 just unbearable.
Yeah.
And even me just screwing around, I could just sit there and wipe an entire team trying to cover open ground by just holding the trigger down. Kill, 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 bullets to spare.
Yeah, you're having to reload with 60.
That's right. And, 60, you might get 1. If you're really good, you might get 2. But you're running low on bullets at that point at range. 50 meters plus, you're starting to run low on bullets.
Yeah.
Which is how it should be, right? Make it an easy-to-use gun. Should chew up a lot more rounds than you'd expect. That. And so, when you fill the magazine to 100, I don't know. But I think the changes they've made have really pushed it more into like feeling like an LMG. And at that point, you might as well just, if you're gonna post up and you're not going to run and gun, and you just want to have have a lot of bullets to hit something at far range, run the XM4 with a 200 round mag. If you don't care about ADS time and movement, just do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, good changes overall. No problems with that. What else? They nerfed the Jackal again.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel like the Jackal was like so OP, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I just felt like it was very good and people used it because it was the best. But it seems like they've taken that category with this last update or two, and they're trying to balance it out and give you a few more options. Because I'm also hearing not only the C9, but like people are liking the compact,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't like that gun. I think it shoots too fucking fast. It has too fast of a fire rate.
You have ammo. It gets you into ammo trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's cool. But you know, something else that I hadn't really thought about and kind of goes against some of the things that we've said in the past about like previous games, weapons being in Warzone and still being viable. You know, the cat's still very, very viable as a sniper rifle.
Sure, it's one shots.
People are either using the cat or the LR762. They're not even using
I
the
love
Frostline.
the LR762. I have made no secret of how much I hate the cat. I don't like using it. I think it sucks. It sucks to hold. I don't know what it is, and it's probably in my head more than anything else because on paper it's phenomenal, but I just feel like it sucks. But I love the LR762. I have hit so many shots. What did I hit? 550 meters with it the other week.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
That's a good, pretty good shot. I was playing with crossbow Mike, and I was up on the radio tower, southeast of the barracks or southwest of the barracks, up on the hill. And you know those the green apartment blocks where they have the little kind of cutouts where you can drop down the der
Yeah,
on the roof?
I fucking died 3 times in 15 seconds over there. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, your favorite spot. On the far there was a guy running around on the farthest there, and he was like gloating, like he had I'd watched him down somebody, and he was like teabagging them, and I hit him.
When being toxic gets you fucking clapped. That's happened to me before.
He was so pissed. He hunted me down across the map. Like, it took him a while to get there, to get back to where I was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I was at that we were playing Plunder, so it wasn't like the full game, but I was trying to just see how far I could stretch and hit things. That was the farthest down that I got. I hit one farther out, probably like 700 meters, but it didn't down. I just got a hit marker at that point, so I don't count it.
I feel like, and I don't know if you feel this, but like with the snipers, if I remember correctly, it was either this game or the last game. I felt like there was a lot of like bullet drop you were having to account for, and I can't remember if I was feeling that about the Black Ops 6 ones in Warzone, but now it feels right. Like the way the build is, it just feels good to like sniping.
That was in MW2 when they brought one shot back. They brought it back with the use of the explosive rounds, which killed your bullet velocity. Your bullet velocity was in like the 600s. 700s, which meant you were aiming. So I think my farthest hit was 400 meters in Warzone 2. Like one shot, my farthest down and kill was 400 something meters, like maybe 450. But I was aiming a good like 2 inches over their heads. Like they were at the bottom of the scope.
That's crazy
to hit that. And it was like throwing footballs. Like you fire it, order a pizza, have a beer, and then it lands, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm low.
You know, they put the AMR-4 into the ground loot right now.
Fuck that guy.
I got a kill with it yesterday, but it's fucking terrible, dude. It's just it's not, for me personally, the biggest issue is it's semi-auto, and that's cool. They're trying to compensate for it being semi-auto and being a higher damage gun if you can land your shots. But the problem with it is how they're doing it. It's like you shoot once and then your barrel fucking straight up to the sky. Like by the time you get it down and recenter or whatever, yeah, it's pretty rough. But
yeah, well, they're trying to fix. What was that gun? What was that semi-automatic sniper in Modern Warfare 2? It
was the KVD or
no. This was. Remember, it was all over World Series of Warzone. That's all anybody ran.
Oh, the Signal 50.
Signal 50. They're trying to not let that happen again. Which they should. Right? That's the way it should be. But it's just useless in this game because it hit markers like crazy. It hit markers like crazy.
That's another thing I'm noticing too.
I was fighting a squad and kind of like southwest of the resort. There's the hill, and that billboard. So it's like there's the hill, there's the train tracks and that overpass, and then you can kind of go up towards that monument. And there's that billboard there, and there was a guy climbing the billboard. He's climbing up the ladder, and I hit him 3 times with the ground loot signal 50, or not signal 50, ground loot whatever it's called. And he legit got up there. He must have been 1 HP. I don't know if he stemmed or he had healthy or had something on that ladder, but I hit him 3 times and didn't get the down. And I fortunately had pinged him, so I was that guy, and I hit him through the billboard and got him down up on the catwalk, which worked out because it drew his buddy who came up, and I actually hit that guy with connected with a headshot. And then another one and downed him. So there were 2 of them up there, and then the third one didn't fall for the bait.
So you mentioned hit markers. So that's one of the things that I did notice too. And I don't know if it's just maybe like a me problem, but I noticed I think it was Thursday, I hit somebody and then there was a delay from me seeing the hit marker and hearing it from when I actually hit them. It was weird.
Servers. Sure.
Yeah, it's probably a server issue or whatever. But yeah, I did notice that. And I mean, that happens sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and say it happens all the time, but it does happen sometimes.
Yeah. And so it's yeah, the AMR4 mod 4, whatever the hell they come up with dumbest names for these things.
I know, because they won't.
Yeah, I know they can't call them what they're supposed to call them. But yeah, dumbest names of it. Anyway, just looking at the damage profile. If you are inside of 90 meters or 89 meters, you're at 3 shots to down outside of a headshot downs. That's crazy that you have to hit somebody 3 times to down them. And if one of those misses, and that's an even 300. So if one of those misses or they stim or something, you're 4 shots. You can 4 shot and they're good. And and this is the thing with these snipers, right? Unless you hit the head, you got these guys, people are, you're rarely facing someone square on, right? They're moving, and I ran into this with the damn SVD in multiplayer of you'll be moving and you'll hit the hand just because their character's moving around as they move around the map. And it's what should have been a kill turns into a hit marker.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most frustrating part because it's the fire rate on that's so slow that if you hit marker, you're probably dead. And that was the big problem with this AMR4 is that it's inside 90 meters, it's a 3 shot to kill unless you land a headshot. 3 shots with that recoil. What the hell? And then you get good heavens forbid you're 89 plus. You're in 3 shots won't do it. You're 4 shot. You have to 4 shot.
Be better just walking up and hitting the motherfucker with a rock.
Pretty much. Neck and chest are only 97 damage.
Oh wow.
And so that's literally you can hit 3 chest shots and they're walking it off they ain't even there. It makes the gun not worth picking up. I would rather fight with a pistol. I'm confident with the ground loot pistol. Which did they change that? No.
You talking about your starting pistol?
Yeah,
it's the same one.
Okay, I'm confident with that. I've gotten pretty darn good with it. I win most of my gunfights with it. Nowadays, I would rather have that than pick up the AMR off the ground. I think I win that fight 9 times out of 10, even if I'm farther away than you. Even if I'm at 50 meters and I have to close that gap, I'm confident I can close the gap and kill you before you can kill me with the AMR4. I just am. Like the movement, give me a stim. Like I'll get there. I'll close a 50-meter gap, maybe even in open ground. I'll close a 50-meter gap and kill you with the starter pistol before you kill me with that AMR. It's a piece of junk.
Yeah, it's not that good. I mean, like I said, I maxed it out in multiplayer and I haven't fucking touched it again.
But that's what I was saying about like these guns, these new guns they've added, right? Like they're just not great. There's nothing that I'm like, oh my gosh, this gun's amazing. It's like we got season 1, we got, all the season 1 guns. It's still the XM4. Season 2 guns, the XM4 is still in the conversation, and none of those are like amazing. Like, here's, and again, that new gun, because we were talking about it earlier. Here's the problem with the new gun is that it's not great in the range it needs to be great. Like it just
they'll have to
suffers.
Buff it.
Yeah, I mean, sure they will, because they always buffer stuff. They'll always buff this stuff when they need to. But like you look at the AK, the Ames, the Cypher, the XM4, and the Model L, and you say, I'm going to run this as an AR, so I need it to work 30 meters, like kind of it. I should start my fight. I should pick fights at 30 meters plus, and it's like within 30 meters. The AK is a better choice than that one. It just hits harder within 30 meters. It's like a wheelhouse for that gun to be very effective. And then the thing just falls off a cliff at 40 meters, and at 40 meters, it goes from very competitive to not as good as the Model L, not as good as definitely not as good as the Ames by a lot. The AK catches up to it at 80 meters, but if you're fighting at 80 meters with the AK, you're probably needing help anyways.
Yeah.
The XM4, at range, but the XM4 has some better options, and it's a little better handling. It's just not like there's no scenario where I can sit here and be like, oh yeah, that's a great choice. Like that I would put in my loadout. Like if I pick it up, it's better than the starter pistol. Like, it's not like the AM4 where it's like, oh, I'll challenge you with the starter pistol. No, I'm going to run and hide. Like and try and find one on my own. Like I don't want to fight you with that, but like, you're going to lose a lot of fights against people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
If they're kitted up.
All I know is I saw Money killing with it. His custom build, so that's cool. I don't even have it unlocked in the battle pass yet, I don't think. But I've ranked it up already to like a 6 or a 10 or some shit just from using it in the gulag and picking it up on ground loot or whatever. So
yeah. I think the biggest benefit of getting that black cell is you can unlock one whole, like you can pick any block of, what do they call pages or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you can unlock that on its own. So I went for the Cypher. That was a mistake. Now,
Dude, I did it again, bro. I forgot. So I played Thursday, right? And then when I hopped on yesterday, I'm like, I didn't get any fucking battle pass tokens. What the fuck? Thinking it was broke. Yeah, moron. You got to turn it off where it doesn't auto spin.
Yeah.
I mean,
done that.
That's so fucking stupid, dude. I don't know why I do that shit. Like, I should know better. I have fucking hundreds of games in each mode right now. I should know better how this fucking works.
You should know better. But you know what? They keep changing it every year. So joke's on you.
Dude, you know something else that we learned too? And maybe other people already knew this, but so they fucked with the playlist, right? So you can't run just regular trios. So it's solos, duos, ranked trios, and then quads for BR. So we were running quads with squad fill off, and the cost of the loadout's only 12.5. If you do that, you're getting your loadout at 12.5, not 15.
Well, yeah.
Before
it auto adjusts,
it wouldn't.
No, it auto adjusts based on your squad size. So if people quit, the price goes down.
Has it always done that?
Since mid Modern Warfare 3.
Because I don't remember that really being a thing. But I mean, also, too, towards the end, I wasn't playing shorthanded. I was just playing either solos or 4-stacked because that's all there was. So it's always done that?
But it's been that way for a while.
That's pretty cool.
But now you know.
And knowing's half the battle, bro. Like, see, I'm still fucking learning shit. I don't know everything about this goddamn game.
But yeah, no, so that's a nice, it's a good advantage when people quit early, because then it's like, I had one a while back where I went to go buy this motherfucker back, and right when I get to the buy station, he quits out. I'm like, you fucking pussy. And then I went, oh wait, now I can afford the loadout. Thank you.
Thanks, bitch.
Get out.
Have fun.
Useless.
Yeah.
Didn't help. We got mopped. But yeah, no, it was it's been around for a while. But yeah, that's good. And I think that's a great change. I used that actually a couple of times when I was doing the ranked grind, because it was 12-5, and then I'd have a couple of times where somebody would die early and then quit out, or they'd crash.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, look at that. I can now afford the loadout better.
Yeah.
And so I jump on that. And so that was good. But yeah, it's that's a good quality of life improvement that they made last year that carried over. So good on that.
There's been a lot of good stuff they've added. I mean, I think even into Warzone 2, there were some things that have carried over. And I like right now though, the biggest thing I like is like the lootable perks. Like, I think that's awesome. Being able to pick up your perk package when you come back, that's awesome too.
And perk packages look different than everything else. Like, you can see it on the ground and be like, there's a perk package.
Yep.
I'm not confused by what it is.
And it's identifiable what the perk package is too. Like, so
they did a good job with that.
I changed up too. I'm not running Ghosts anymore. I'm running Resolute. And it does give you a speed boost. Holy shit. You start taking rounds and you're fucking up out of there, cuz.
Zoom.
Yep.
I took some hits. I ran off a cliff because I wasn't expecting to go that fast. Well, I hit a stim. Like, I was taking rounds, I hit a stim, and then I ran off. Like, I went to go slide, and I had a little more velocity than I expected, and went right over the edge of a building, or a rock or whatever. I just remember going, I didn't want to end up down here, but it worked out. I got away, lived to fight another day. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Some of the perk changes are looking really interesting. But I don't think Ghost has been a viable, like, there hasn't been a reason to put Ghost in a loadout in a while.
It was always just a habit, really, for me. You know what I mean? Like that. And I changed it. So, Tracker is actually, honestly, dude, I kind of like Tracker right now. Because it's almost like Combat Scout was in Caldera, where it outlines the person. Not almost, it is like that. Like, it outlines the person. So that's actually useful. To me, it feels more useful. Like, we got into a scrum on that hill. I call it an island, but it's actually not a fucking island, but it's right by the fire station. And there's a big radio tower and a pot. But we got into a fight up there by the radio tower, and smoke was dropped. But I was able to land a couple shots, and I can see the complete outline of where the person was. So it's easy to get to make sure you're getting your kills that way. I like that. I do like that change, and they did put that back in ranked, by the way.
Right.
Because they
took away the ping, and they took away some other stuff, and they put it back in.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair. It's a way to combat smoke. So I think that's good. Are you still running smoke meta?
I just switched back to the smoke. I was running the gas, just because I was tired of getting gassed. Because that shit is dumb as hell.
Agreed.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. So King mentioned this when we were playing, and I have not seen one. Did they add the fucking Dury back in?
I think so.
Because he said he had one in solos.
I you know what? So I ran a couple of games just to see if it would work, and I found one on a body. So it's back. I don't know where it is, but I saw one.
They got to be extremely fucking rare.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen one Thursday or Friday, but if so, I don't know how I would have missed that. But again, those fucking patch notes and that community update was long as shit just because of all the stuff they had to fucking fix. So that may have just kind of snuck through there on me. I didn't realize they added it back. If that's
I
the
don't
case.
remember. I don't remember seeing it either mentioned. So either it's a visual bug because I don't remember if it worked or not. I don't know if I ever tried it. It could be a visual bug.
Oh, where it looks like a Dury, but it isn't necessarily one.
But it could be one, and they just didn't put it in the patch notes. Added it to, put it in the ground loot rotation.
Yeah,
ultra rare or something.
Maybe.
Because I don't think they don't give us a list of what they put in the ground loot, which I think they should. I think they should give us a complete list of everything you can get in the ground loot, so you have an idea of what you're getting. But yeah.
Dude, what's something else that because you were talking about a visual bug that I noticed. So on the reinforced barrel for the XM4, I was running that, and in multi I run it with that Merlin mini sight. So the way the left hand is on the barrel, the left hand is on the barrel. The thumb is like fucking like the dot is like right here. It's almost like in your field of view now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he's holding it in that the C grip or whatever they call it, like that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I don't think they were even doing that in the 90s, but whatever. That's
not a 90s thing.
No, I don't even think that became popular until about 10 years ago.
No, 90s is isosceles chicken wings.
Yeah.
SWAT, dude. You know who I was just talking to my wife about this. It's oh god, what is his name? Let's see, what's his name? Vance or something. There's a guy, the special forces guy with glasses, Mike Vinning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this guy, like, this should be what the game looks like right now. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm going to put it in the chat. This is what it should look like. This is what operators should look like in this game. And the fact that they don't is just, it is a crime. It's a crime that this is not what we get.
This motherfucker looks like he could just be on a trip to fucking Sears or Target for his wife. And he's, carrying an M4.
Do you know who this guy is? Like the guy in the white shirt in the foreground?
No.
His name is Mike Vinning. This is one of those things. This is one of those things that, like, needs to be, like, he's a meme right now, and, like, people kind of joke about it. Like, when you, like, read his history of, like, who this dude is and what he's done in his career, like here's,
is that,
I'm gonna put this other picture.
I've seen his photo going around.
You've seen his photo, right?
Yeah, on Twitter I've been seeing that
like
lately.
You see that photo?
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't think enough people, like, really appreciate exactly who this dude is. So Mike Vinning is, he joined the army during Vietnam in the explosive ordnance disposal unit.
Okay.
Like nowadays, like, the guys in the bomb suits, right? Like, they didn't have all that. Like, he just went and disarmed shit. And he found disarming explosives in Vietnam boring. He got tired of climbing mountains to dispose of bombs. And then he joined back up and ended up joining Delta Force. He was one of the new Delta Force guys. And he fought in, like, 4 different conflicts and just has this, like, long history of medals and
so he's
combat things. And he was airborne. Like, he's just, like, he looks like an engineer, like an old engineer from, like, IBM.
Yeah.
Right? Like he honestly, he looks like my dad. Like, just nerdy engineer, from back in the day. And the reality is, like, that first picture, just wearing slacks and a collared shirt, and he will just smoke you. Like, that that's the attitude that Black Ops 6 needed to have with its operators, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, they did
Like
it.
it's a miss. Like taking this is what 90s, like early 90s spec ops was. Like it wasn't all the gadgets and all that shit. It was like this dude like running around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like all the fancy crazy shit for operators or whatever, but I will tell you this. So it's rumored that the Ninja Turtles are coming, and I'm fucking buying that. I'll buy that goddamn bundle. If it's done in the
You know what?
80s and 90s style.
No. They need to show that they're going to do something more with it, because they did Shredder in MW2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so hyped for what that was going to be. And it was just an operator for like 5 seconds. And then they never did anything. Not even a damn animation with it. Like it was the biggest waste of IP. So I need more. The skin's not enough.
I'm just saying, fucking take my money. Again, I am part of the problem.
Yeah. But they get their hands on these IPs and they do nothing with them. Like the 80s action hero, like the reason it was so cool was there was stuff to do in the game based on it.
Yeah, you go to
right?
Nakatomi
You had Nakatomi Tower, and there was an Easter egg to do in the tower. Like there was this game is missing so much of that. Like just think back to like that era of Warzone where it was like, here's an event, and and it's not just like the events have just turned into pick up things off dead bodies, collect tokens. Like who fucking cares? Like we've had enough. We've had our limit with that. Like we're done. Do something fun. Give us Nakatomi Tower. Give us something interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
because all we're getting is literally like, oh, you've got what's it called? Not Nakatomi Tower. Yeah, you get, like Nakatomi Tower, and it's like, yeah, you have an Easter egg. There's something to do besides just fight, and all they want to do is make it TDM in on a big map, and it's like, and they've taken away all of this stuff that used to like take the space up. Like we used, I don't know. I just that video from who was it? That British dude,
Jack Frags.
Like he nailed it right on the head. Of like, it isn't just the nostalgia. It isn't just that we had all of our friends on in Warzone. It's that Warzone was built to sandbox, right? There was stuff to do besides run around and kill each other, which I get it. It's a BR. At the end of the day, that's the end goal, which is fine, which is great. It should be. But what makes it exciting, what makes it fun, is actually all the stuff that happens in between gunfights. And the problem is you got like Al Mazrah where they just cut the number of people down, right? And they slowed everything down, which means that the gunfights were less exciting in and of themselves. And on top of that, there were these long gaps of time between when you could actually find people to fight.
Dude, they pretty much.
And so their solution to that was to speed the circles up, so you slam people together faster, right?
They went from one extreme to another. They went from slow as fuck to fast as fuck when they had the sweet spot the entire time.
Yeah, they 150 players, slower moving circles, and the reality is they misconstrued the dissatisfaction with Caldera, with people preferring generally Rebirth speed over it. And I think for a lot of big map BR players, that really fucked the game over for them.
Yeah. Did you see Courage's tweet? Where he basically, to sum it up, it was basically he's like, is there any more of a mismanaged IP than Warzone? And then he just kind of goes through and lays out like things that need to change, the anti-cheat, those kind of things. I thought it was an interesting tweet. I retweeted it this last week, but I agreed with everything he said, and he's a former Call of Duty caster. I mean, he mains Fortnite right now, which is, doing very well apparently, and I guess people are having fun with that Godzilla event too. They actually made him move around the fucking map.
You mean you could actually have fun with it?
Yeah,
They just well, you don't forget those of us on console, we couldn't even see all of Godzilla.
that's fucking true too.
Yeah, because we were at 80 FOV, so we couldn't even see the whole thing. We were limited to its feet.
Yeah.
Or if we were up high its head, which actually created a number of scenarios in which he ended up over top of you. Like you'd be like running around, like focus on maybe a gunfight, and because you can't see the whole map. Like he would be like right here next to your head. You're just, oh shit, I gotta run. And like it was still a fun event. I still enjoyed it. I don't think it should be noted as a complete failure, but it was the last good event they ever had.
You didn't, I mean, you liked the Diablo event they had on Al Mazrah.
It was okay.
Because I know we played that. I played that with Lipe and Tricky and Deep.
I enjoyed the change of pace. You know, the setting isn't my favorite. I'm not a huge like occult setting lover.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like early Halloween, like the Halloween haunting stuff in the first couple of games, they didn't have all of that. So it was just kind of like ghosts and darkness, and it was fun.
Zombies and the jump scares and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, you know, it was just fun. And then, you know, they tied in with Diablo, and it was a little more than I preferred personally. Just not my style.
Well,
and you know, tack on the fact that I'd been playing zombies.
Sure.
Because that was that Al Mazrah? I forget when they did the Diablo. Maybe the Diablo.
Al Mazrah was Diablo.
Okay. Oh no, they did it in the Haunted Rebirth last year, which, all things considered, you know, was a fun mode. Again, I think I just I played so much zombies last year. I just am over the dark, creepy, like feel.
Sure.
I'm just over it. I'm like, give me something bright and fun again.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, there just hasn't been like an event that you just look at the event as a whole and you're like, wow, that was cool. Like that was something unique. We haven't had that in a long time. And Warzone is worse for it, significantly.
Well, hopefully they'll get it back on track.
Hopefully they'll get it back in time for Verdansk, which if you have logged in and you check your season counter, where does that season counter end, Jay?
I heard a date of like March 20th.
Is that an important date in Warzone?
No, not in the Warzone history. It isn't. March 10th is.
Well, it's close enough for government work. It's Activision after all.
No, but no, I mean, it's close. But
it's close enough. Hopefully they have an event planned. I would love to see a 10-day event. Like, on the anniversary, they start like a countdown or something, or they do something that leads into it, and then boom, the next day we get it.
Yeah, just don't fucking break the game.
They're gonna break the game. Let's be honest. I'm setting my expectations on it's gonna be broken, but hopefully they fix everything, and then, you know, they just switch the map over and it's good. And you know, I've seen it reported a couple of times that we're actually on the wrong engine for Black Ops 6. We're not playing Warzone on the right engine. This is all just shoehorned into it, which possibly is why it's so broken. Because there was a video a while back of like the snow effects and some other Verdansk specific actions that were being built on an IW10 engine was named.
Yeah, shit. Hustler Relic, I think, is the one that put that out on Twitter.
Yep. Which means potentially a lot of the problems that we are dealing with are because, you know, with Warzone specifically, are because we're just not the full. We have not been given the full game to play because it wasn't ready, because they had to switch Avalon for Verdansk.
All right. Well, I mean,
so if that's true, then hopefully that's good. Hopefully that's a big change for us. You know, that means we're gonna walk in and have a really good experience in Verdansk.
I hope so.
And then, so March 20th should be Verdansk. That should be when it drops. There are only so many balls they can drop in this game at this point, because they've dropped most of them. They have to hit Verdansk. Like, we need it back, because we need to kickstart. Like, we need to kick this game back into shape somehow. And here's the problem: is even if they fix all these bugs, that's not going to be enough to bring people back. So Verdansk needs to hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm wondering, like, at what point we'll start seeing the marketing efforts for that, because they're going to be pushing that out. I mean, that's the one thing Call of Duty has always done really well is their marketing. So
they got to fix the game before they market anything, because if they don't, like, if they try to, like, look, if they try to push marketing right now, hell, they're going to get dragged.
I mean, I think in a couple weeks, the game's going to be a lot better than it is right now. I mean, hell, dude, it's already better right now than it was Tuesday. So I am optimistic that it will be better. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect, because it's not. There are still fucking problems in the game, and problems that not everybody deals with, but that doesn't mean they don't fucking exist, because they do. So they're working on fixing it. I think it'll be better. And you know what's so funny to me, dude? On Twitter, I'm accused of being too fucking negative, but with my friends in real life, I'm a Call of Duty shill. I can't fucking win.
Nobody can win.
I legit can't win.
God had a great post about that. He did a video yesterday where he said basically the same thing of, like, if he's critical to the game, he's he's negative. If he's says something good about the game, he's a shill for it. And sometimes people say both about the same video.
Yeah, and
it was a really interesting perspective from him. And so that was and it's true, right? Like, there's the people that are just so pissed off and negative on the game that any positive news, they'll go after you for saying. And then there's people that are like, almost toxically positive about the game, where it's like, if you have any critique about it, any issue that comes up, that you want to bring to attention, which we know works when there's something broken and everybody is up in arms about it, they will jump on it and quiet people down, if only to make the Twitter be quiet. But you're being too negative. Like, look, and I replied to your post the other day where, when there's broken stuff, we're going to call out the broken stuff. And there's been more broken stuff than not lately. And hopefully, three, what is it? How many days from now? Like a couple of weeks from now, we're going to be talking about what a good spot the game is and how much fun we're having playing it and how we can't wait for Verdansk. That's my hope, that we get to that spot. But, they've got to get there, and they've got to get us there. And they're not going to get us there if we don't tell them what's wrong.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, is just to set the record straight here, I legitimately don't give a fuck what other people are saying when it comes to being able to form my own opinion. I form my own opinion, okay? I don't fucking care what anybody else is saying. And I'm not a fucking sheep and gonna just follow in line. If I feel like something is broken, I'm gonna say it. I was on the XM4 almost immediately and was told for weeks to calm down and stop complaining. And then some of the very same fucking people I see bitching about it 2 weeks ago. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it is what it is. But Verdansk, hopefully, should be here in a month and change. And then next year, sounds like we're getting DMZ back.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be separate too. So, like, rumor has it that it's going to be a completely separate thing. I don't know if you saw that tweet. So, like, separate, which is good, because that was kind of part of the problem with Warzone 2. They tried to rework all of Call of Duty for fucking DMZ, and it just didn't work out.
That was a mistake.
Well. Yeah. Listen, I didn't really like DMZ that much, but I know there are a lot of people out there that do. So I feel like this is probably good news for them, and hopefully they will do the mode well, because it would also be nice to have kind of like that other option inside Call of Duty to go do stuff if Warzone or multiplayer starts acting a damn fool. Go over to DMZ and play it. So there's that. But then there's also, from what I understand, it's going to be a separate map. And the Ground War? The Ground War maps are going to be derivatives of that, which is cool. They can certainly do that. And then they're talking about, there's supposedly a debate whether it's going to be PvP or PvE.
Yeah, we'll see. I like the I like the way that Ghost Recon does it, where you have both options, right? You can go PvE modes, and you can go PvPvE modes, so player versus enemies.
Yeah, Gray Zone does that too.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I thought you said
does
Ghost
that.
Recon.
Maybe I did. I was wrong. But yeah, Gray Zone does that, and it's great. I think it's a very good option to have. Because look, there were times, there were times where I enjoyed going in and having to scrap for, against people. I remember I was trying to level up that revolver in MW2, and it was, I had a lot of fun early on in DMZ because I would just go in solo with nothing and just see what happens, see how far I could get, which was usually not very far because the AI was just overpowered at the time. But I remember going in with the revolver, and then it was like, I'd finished what I was there for, because there was like a max number of levels you could level a gun up before it was useless, and so I was like trying to get out in time, and there was a couple of guys that were trying to find me, and there was they were hunting me, and then there was another team camping in exfil, and I just remember being able to like weave around and actually get those two groups to fight each other, and I called the chopper and got out in one piece, and it was exhilarating. It was a really fun moment in the game, and so not having PvP wouldn't have allowed that to happen. It would just be me and AI going at it, which is fine, but it hits a point where it kind of like you just run out of excitement on that. But I think they need to figure out what they want it to be, and they launched it. And if you remember when they launched it, they said it's in beta, which is fine, but they were like, they had some line in the initial blog post about how, we're gonna let the players tell us what they want from it, which means it was a useless mode for months. They didn't know what to do with it, right? You couldn't bring you couldn't bring anything out of the game. All you got when you exfilled is either a gun, or if you picked up a gun or a satchel or a case or something, you got that. And you got XP.
So
everything, even the cash, turned into XP. You couldn't do anything.
There was no
there was all of this. There was no crafting. There was no, nothing. So you had all this stuff in the game. You had screwdrivers and, electronics and laptops and all this crap. And it was all worthless at the end of the day, because no matter what you picked up, none of it mattered. And I think that was the biggest problem with it, is that you get in there and it's like, okay, there's some story missions. Fine, you can do the story missions, but what is the point of being there? What is the point in playing the game? And there was no point. Right at the end of the day, there was no point.
Something like that, you have to have a steady
you need
stream
a base,
of content.
You need a stash. You need,
things to do.
Delta Force and Gray Zone both do this, where it's like there's equipment, you're in there to scavenge equipment, you're in there to scavenge weapons and ammo, and when you come out, like you bring that stuff with you, and then you can sell it, you can improve it, right? You can modify it, you can trade it, you can do all kinds of stuff with the crap that you can pick up. If you can pick it up, you can do something with it. And that was the problem with DMZ, is that you had all this stuff and there was no point in worrying about it, right? The only thing you could do is convert it to cash in the game because you wanted to, to buy a better armor or something, or a better gun, or whatever whatever you could buy in game. But it was all stuff that you could load in with anyways. And they eventually sold it to you in bundles that you could just buy before you even played the game. Like, there was no point. And eventually they added a crafting table, and they added some other stuff, but it was all rudimentary. Like, compared to every other extraction shooter on the market, before and after DMZ, it was like playing with Duplo blocks, and everybody else is building actual cars. And that just made it worthless. Like, and I knew so many Tarkov guys that were excited. They were like, I've never been excited about Call of Duty, but this looks like fun. When I don't feel like dealing with Tarkov's bullshit, like, this will be a fun experience to hop into and play. And they played it once and they were like, this is trash.
See, that's the thing, what you just said there too. Every game has some kind of bullshit players have to deal with. It's not like Call of Duty's the only fucking one. Like, Apex is down bad right now, from what I understand.
Call of Duty is arguably the biggest game on Earth. And the problem is, when something's wrong with Call of Duty, it affects more people than any other game out there.
That's fair. That makes sense.
So, yeah, the problems with Call of Duty feel bigger because they are bigger. They affect more people. Like Tarkov is a very, at the end of the day, Tarkov is a small player base compared to other franchises.
Sure.
And other games, right? And so when they're having a really bad time, normies don't hear about it. They just don't hear about it, right? It's not a thing.
Did you also see that EA, we talked about what they're doing with Battlefield and the developer turnover and everything else, but did you see that they're kind of shuffling around BioWare?
Gaming is not a good spot, man. Every studio is shuffling their deck, dumping projects, dumping people.
Ubi is too. They laid off 185 people.
Yep. I don't know what happened, but arguably the last good multiplayer game that came out was Modern Warfare 2019. Everything after that has already crashed and burned. Nothing is held up like that. And game, the number of AAA flops that we've had since then, this era of gaming needs to be studied. I feel like we're on the border of Atari ET land. For those of you who aren't old like us, Atari released the game E.T. and it was so bad and they were so overinvested in it, it crashed the entire industry until Nintendo came along and saved it. We're there. Everybody looks at Call of, looks at the game charts as we talked about the other week, where it's okay, great. The highest selling game on console is Call of Duty. And then everything else after that is either annual sports titles or remakes. And there's one new game. Come on. And every time, everything they've tried has been just a disaster. And I'll say this, they're not producing games that the majority of gamers want to play. They're producing games that they want to make. And it's fine if you're an indie studio and you want to create a game that you want to make, and you want to tell the story you want to tell. I think that's great. I've found so many indie games over the years that they're fun little games, and they're just neat to play, and they're definitely they're someone's vision, and I can sometimes I can get behind them, sometimes I don't really buy the vision. I don't get too invested in it. But at the end of the day, it's it's a little game that passion project. They have a small budget clearly, and hopefully they made their money back and made a little bit of profit and puts it on their resume. But seriously, AAA $200, $300, $400 million to make games need to be about what people want. The only thing that matters is what people want. And if gamers want, if the majority of people want a game to be a certain aesthetic and a certain feel and a certain gameplay style, and you don't make that for them and you tell them to get fucked when they complain, your game will fail and your studio will fail and your company will fail.
I guess
because
Dragon's Age is one of those that you're talking about. Dragon Age, the Veilguard. I never played that, but I guess it was a massive fucking flop to the point where they're restructuring.
Yeah, they've fired almost their entire writing team because a lot of people really hated the writing in the game. They hated the storyline. They hated the conversation the characters had. Whether you agree or not, it is the financials speak for themselves. People didn't want to play the game.
So I know we're wrapping up here, but do you know what the latest controversy is for Assassin's Creed?
Which one?
There's two. I'll throw you the easy one first. I guess, oh boy, the samurai goes through and destroys some religious shrines and religious areas. So you know how it is over there. You studied Japan. We've talked about this.
Yes.
But you want to know what the big one is? There's apparently a female sumo wrestler character, and that's a big fucking no-no over there.
You can't. It's not allowed. That's not. especially back then.
They care about it so much to the point that I read a story where something happened and medics had to come, and there was a female medic, and when she left, they threw salt out all over the place.
Japanese culture is super interesting. Like
it is.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and it's and this, you know, again, it's Ubisoft has made a game that they want to make, and they have demonstratively hired people that don't understand the culture, and it's not like, look, Ubisoft is traditionally, you know, Assassin's Creed has lived in European culture, you know, for the most part, for most of its iterations,
and they've been pretty accurate,
and they've done a very good, and they've been very astute about understanding and representing the, you know, the Italians of that era, you know, Renaissance Italians, even the pirates in Black Flag, right? They got a lot right. They understood the British very well. They understood, you know,
Turkey,
the dynamics, you know, Turkey, right?
Jerusalem,
you know,
I mean,
there's a lot that they've put into it, and in this instance, it seems like they've just half-assed it. Like they don't care enough to really understand what they're doing, because, you know, at the end of the day, they want to tell a certain story, and it doesn't, you know, and for better or for worse, that the story doesn't mesh with historically with accurately representing the culture, especially of that time. And on top of that, and here's the thing that's just weird to me, is they're mixing and matching like cultures. Like they have Chinese stuff in Japan. Like and they have they've recreated like landmarks in modern Japan that didn't exist back then, that are more modern, right? And it's just stuff that, like, for people who are Japanese, they're you know, they're protective of this stuff. You know, it's like, and you look at, like, and you can see it in manga. How do you fucking say it?
I don't fucking know.
In their animation, when they represent Japan, there was a series of videos on, or stills on Twitter that I saw the other day, where it was like scenes from anime next to a photograph of the actual place that they're talking about, like where the setting is, and they're incredibly accurate, right? Like they're just telling a story. They could put it anywhere, they could do anything, and it's just like they just pick some corner of some city somewhere that nobody outside of that area probably knows anything about. Like it doesn't seem to have any historical significance, but they're like that. Like they are just on point. Like, so when they recreate Japan, right? They recreate the world around them very accurately. And then they tell their story within that. And Assassin's Creed, which is known for doing that, known for recreating it, the environment very accurately and recreating the culture very accurately, is just all over the place. There's so much that is not right. From an accuracy standpoint, that it's just indicative of, again, they're not on top of it like they usually are, and they're paying the price. And the game's probably going to flop. Like, let's be honest, there's enough people pissed off about it for insert reason here.
You see the date that it's coming out?
It's just not going to be successful. Oh, it's some like anniversary of something.
It's fucking March 20th. It's the same day like when Warzone comes out. Oh, well, I know they're not one-to-one comparison, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's not going to, Verdansk. Yeah, if Verdansk is dropping on the 20th, that's not going to help their sales. That's for sure.
And I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll play it at some point, because I do like the Assassin's Creed games, but I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. I ran across that on Twitter earlier today, and I saw it, and I wanted to make sure I visited with you about it. But the last thing before we wrap up is, did you see the Microsoft earnings things that they were talking about with Game Pass and all that stuff?
I saw enough of it, but I don't think there's enough detail for us to really draw too many conclusions about what's going on, because they're able to condense a lot of things into different buckets, because it's Microsoft, and like gaming is just a part of their overall profit.
Well, and they reshuffled things when they, acquired Activision. So, and then further reshuffled when they put Call of Duty on Game Pass. You know what I mean? Like that's going to change what the overall what the financials really look like. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, they're talking about their gaming revenue declined like 7%. I don't know exactly what that all entails. Maybe they don't have other titles that are doing well or whatever, but content and services revenue increased by 2%. So, and this is, I think, just for fiscal year, the second quarter.
Yeah.
So October through December. So, so it sounds like they had an increase in basically like we knew they would in Game Pass sales.
Yeah. Yeah. So Game Pass boosted. They had, sale units are down. The, console sales are in the garbage. As I've said repeatedly, right? Like over the last 2 weeks, that there's nothing good to play on console. There's nothing out there that's like amazing, right? Everything out there's everything there has been around. Like, Hogwarts is still one of the top played games, top selling games on console right now. Like, what? Well, Helldivers 2 is still on the list for PlayStation. That's been out for a year and change.
So they're off 29%. They declined 29% in their hardware sales. But also, didn't you say that?
Yeah, but they haven't done anything. We are end of cycle. Like, it's unbelievable that we're here already, but we're end of cycle for hardware. Like, this generation is done. We lost how many years did we just lose to the pandemic and all the bullshit?
Yeah.
Because Xbox Series X released before the pandemic, if you remember.
It was like that year, wasn't it? Like it
was that November. So you had shortages from Christmas, and then the pandemic shut everything down, and you just couldn't get the damn consoles. You couldn't get them for years. Like I didn't find around here. I did not find a Series X on the shelf until February or May of 2021.
I couldn't find a Series X ever for. I mean, I can find them now, but like when I was looking, I could never find one. So I ended up getting a bundle with the Series S where they gave me an external drive worth a terabyte or whatever. And so and the bundle worked out where it was roughly the same cost, but I don't know enough about like the hardware to know what the exact differences are performance wise. I didn't dive that far down into it, but yeah. So
if you're playing at 1080 or 1440, it's negligible in most games. Mm-hmm. But if you're trying to play in 4K, the Series X outperforms.
Okay.
And I don't even know if you can play 4K on the Series S. But it doesn't. It's a little sluggish. It starts to feel it. And then the Series X really excelled on some single player games. That could push graphics. Kind of like the PlayStation Pro, right? Where it's like, it'll make Spider-Man look really good, but in Warzone you won't notice much of a difference.
Gotcha. So, yeah, some interesting stuff, man.
Yeah, no, and we've got a refresh coming, I think. I don't know if it's dropped yet, but Xbox has new consoles coming out to challenge the Pro. They kind of have their mid-season refresh, so they have the White X coming out and the driveless Series X. So no disk drive on it. I don't know if it's out or not, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. Consoles are just kind of like they got hosed, I think, by their scarcity this season or this generation. And then again, we've been in a drought of good games to play. We just talked about, there's just not a lot of good games to play. So there's no reason to buy a console. Or there's no reason to upgrade. Just keep playing Warzone. Play the new Madden. Same as the old Madden. So, yeah, I don't know. We're just kind of in a weird spot. But, we'll see. Hopefully a lot of restructuring. Hopefully, we'll get some new blood into the industry. We'll get some changes into how they do things and how they approach storytelling and create some positive movement in that era going forward. Sometimes you got to crash out before you can really put stuff back together. You know what I mean? And so hopefully we're seeing that. Hopefully that we're starting that. I'll put it that way. But what we are starting is to get ready for another slightly above average gaming hangout coming up. I think we're eyeballing next Friday.
I'm hoping it's Friday. It'll be within the next couple weeks.
Yeah, so keep an eye out. We'll let you know. Great time to chat. We'll hang out and chat a bit more. We'll have some guests on, and just have a more casual experience and just kind of hang out. So that's coming up. We'll let you know when that's written in stone. Everyone's got to check with their wives, make sure it's okay. It is how it is. But thanks for sticking around. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate everybody that came through. And remember, if you get the chance, please feel free to pull this up on Apple or Spotify. Help us out on those numbers. It ain't cheap to run this show. So Daddy needs a new 4090, right?
Something.
5090. It's the 5090 now. So yeah, looking forward to for that. But thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next one.